Remove your dress. Face the wall. Don't turn around. 3 sentences. 47 German women freeze. January 18, 1945. A Belgian POW camp so cold that breath turns to ice crystals before it hits the ground. The American MPs stand in the doorway, rifles slung, waiting. Ingrid's hands shake as she reaches for her buttons. Around her, 46 other women are doing the same thing. They've been told what happens when armies win. The propaganda whispered in Wehrmacht training camps was specific. Sie werden uns schänden, genau wie sie es versprochen haben. They'll violate us, just like they promised. But here's what doesn't make sense. The sergeant isn't looking at them. He's holding something strange. Not a weapon, not restraints. A measuring tape, the yellow kind carpenters use. The barracks smell like frozen wool and fear. Outside, it's minus 12 degrees Celsius. Inside, it might be minus 10. The wooden walls are so thin you can see frost forming on the inside. 400 German women POWs in American custody across Belgium. 47 in this building. And right now, every single one believes these are their last moments of dignity. The sergeant unfurls the measuring tape. His boots crunch across the frozen floor. But he walks past the first woman, past the second, past all of them. Quick question before we continue. What city are you watching from right now? And what time is it? I want to see how far this moment travels. Comment below. Ingrid's fingers fumble with the third button. Her dress is the only warm thing she owns. Underneath, she's wearing a slip so thin it might as well be paper. The woman next to her, Greta, is already crying. Silent tears that freeze on her cheeks. The interpreter stands by the door. A German-American from Milwaukee. He translated the order, but something feels wrong about his face. He's sweating. In a freezing barracks, this man is sweating. The sergeant reaches the back wall. He extends the measuring tape, writes something on a clipboard. The pencil scratches loud in the silence. 47 women facing the wall, backs exposed, waiting for whatever comes next. But then he does something nobody expects. He measures the wall itself, bottom to top, side to side, like he's checking dimensions for furniture. The measuring tape clicks as it retracts. The sergeant unfurls the measuring tape. But he's not looking at them. The sergeant measures the wall, not the women. 6 feet, 8 feet. He writes numbers on his clipboard. The pencil scratches echo in the silence. Behind him, 47 women still face the wall, dresses half unbuttoned, waiting for violence that isn't coming. He measures the distance between bunks. 4 feet. Should be 6. He shakes his head, writes another number. The interpreter wipes sweat from his forehead despite the freezing temperature. Warum messen sie die Wände? Why are they measuring the walls? Greta whispers it. She's still facing the wall, but confusion is replacing terror. The sergeant walks the length of the barracks. His boots stomp a steady rhythm. 20 steps. He writes it down, checks his manual, writes again. Geneva Convention rules are specific. 6 feet minimum space per prisoner. 50 meters separation between male and female quarters. These barracks violate the spacing requirement by 40%. The sergeant isn't here to hurt anyone. He's here to file a compliance report. But the women don't know this yet. Ingrid risks a glance over her shoulder. The sergeant is kneeling now, measuring the height of the bottom bunk. The measuring tape clicks as it extends, clicks again as it retracts. Such a small sound, but in this frozen silence it might as well be gunfire. The interpreter shifts his weight, clears his throat. He knows something the women don't. Something about the translation. Something about what he said versus what the Americans actually meant. Outside, male POWs are shoveling snow. Their barracks are exactly 51 meters away. The sergeant checks this 3 times, writes it down. The Americans are obsessive about these details. Every measurement, every distance, every rule from a convention signed in 1929 that the Wehrmacht ignored, but the Americans follow like scripture. Ingrid's fingers are numb on her buttons. She can't tell if she's buttoned or unbuttoning anymore. The woman to her left, barely 17, is shaking so hard her teeth chatter. The sound fills the barracks, chattering teeth and clicking measuring tape. The sergeant stands, turns to the interpreter, says something in English. The interpreter's face goes white, whiter than the frost on the windows. He opens his mouth, closes it, opens it again. Then Ingrid realizes what "remove your dress" actually meant in English. The interpreter's mistake hits like a slap. He'd said "Kleider abnehmen," remove your clothes. The Americans said remove your coats. Coats, not dresses, coats. Mein Gott, sie wollten nur unsere Mäntel. My God, they only wanted our coats. Ingrid says it loud enough for everyone to hear. The revelation ripples through the line of women like electricity. 47 backs straighten. 47 women realize they're standing half naked in front of walls because of a single mistranslated word. The Americans wanted to check for frostbite. Standard medical inspection. Wet coats off so the medic could examine their hands and feet. 73% of POWs in Belgium have frostbite symptoms. Without treatment, amputation within 72 hours. The Americans know this. They've seen it in their own soldiers. The interpreter is talking fast now, trying to explain, trying to fix what he broke. His German tumbles out in chunks, Milwaukee German mixed with panic. The women are turning around, grabbing their dresses, pulling fabric back over shoulders. But it's too late for 3 of them. Greta, Anna, Margaret. They'd already removed everything when they heard footsteps in the doorway. They stand there, backs to the wall, slips transparent as paper, skin blue from cold. The wet wool smell is overwhelming now, mixed with something else. Shame. It has a smell, sharp, metallic, like blood, but not blood. The barracks reek of it. The sergeant hasn't noticed yet. He's still measuring, still writing numbers. The perfect American soldier following Geneva Convention protocols while 3 German women stand nearly naked 4 feet away. The interpreter tries to get his attention, tugs his sleeve. The sergeant brushes him off, points to another measurement needed, the distance between the stove and the nearest bunk. Fire hazard regulations. Ingrid buttons her dress with numb fingers. Around her, women are doing the same. Fast, desperate, like they're racing against something, and they are. Racing against the moment when someone else walks through that door. The measuring tape clicks one more time. Outside, footsteps approach. Not boots, softer. Medical corps wear different soles. The medic is coming for the frostbite inspection. He has no idea what he's about to walk into, no idea that 3 women are standing exactly as propaganda told them they would, stripped, helpless, waiting. The door handle turns. But 3 women had already started undressing when the medic walked in. The medic freezes. 19 years old. From Iowa. Hasn't seen home in 18 months. He's carrying a medical kit that weighs 20 pounds. Glass vials of iodine, sulfa powder, bandages. Everything needed for a routine frostbite check. The kit hits the floor. Glass shatters. Iodine splashes across frozen wood. The sound breaks the silence like a grenade. He's looking at 3 half-naked women, and his face transforms from confusion to horror to something else, something worse. He spins around so fast he nearly falls, slams into the door frame, shouts something in English that sounds like a prayer and a curse mixed together. Then he's gone, running. You can hear his boots pounding away outside. Hat mehr Angst als wir. He's more afraid than we are. Anna says it while pulling her dress over her shoulders. She's right. That boy, because that's what he is, a boy, looked more terrified than any of them felt. His face went from pink to white to green in 3 seconds. The sergeant finally looks up from his clipboard, sees the broken medical supplies, sees 3 women covering themselves, sees his interpreter looking like he might vomit. The measuring tape drops from his hand. For 5 seconds, nobody moves. Then the sergeant does something unexpected. He takes off his own coat, thick wool lined with cotton, and holds it out. Not to anyone specific, just holds it in the air like a white flag. Greta takes it, wraps it around herself. It smells like cigarettes and coffee. American smells. The average U.S. medic is 22 years old. This one is 19. Still has acne scars. Still writes letters to his mother every Sunday. Still can't grow a proper beard. And right now, he's outside in -12 degrees, probably throwing up in the snow. The interpreter is explaining. Fast, desperate, the sergeant's face changes as he understands. He says one word, sounds like a curse. Then another word, definitely a curse. He heads for the door, probably to find the medic. But someone else is already coming. Footsteps, lighter than boots, faster, more purposeful. The medic must have run straight to someone with authority, someone who can fix this catastrophe. The door opens again, but it's not brass, not military police, not what anyone expects. The Red Cross nurse who enters next is someone none of them expected. She speaks perfect German, Berlin accent, refined, the kind you'd hear in Charlottenburg cafes before the world went insane. She's wearing a Red Cross armband, but underneath the uniform, she's one of them. Was one of them. Until 1938. My name is Ruth Goldstein. I'm from Prenzlauer Berg. And yes, I'm exactly what you think I am. A Jew. A German Jew in American uniform, standing in a barracks full of Wehrmacht auxiliaries. The irony is so thick you could cut it with a bayonet. She doesn't waste time. Explains the miscommunication in rapid, perfect German. Coats, not dresses. Frostbite inspection, not what they feared. The interpreter, that fool from Milwaukee, mistranslated. She says this while pulling clean blankets from a medical cart. 12,000 German Jews serve in the U.S. military. 1,600 as medical personnel. They know things American medics don't. Like how to speak to terrified German women. Like how to explain without humiliating. Like how to be human when humanity seems impossible. Eine Jüdin hilft uns, nach allem, was wir getan haben. A Jew is helping us, after everything we did. Margaret whispers it. She's 23. From Munich. Her father was SS. Is SS. Somewhere. If he's still alive. And here's this Jewish woman, wrapping her in a blanket, checking her fingers for frostbite, being gentler than any German officer ever was. Ruth works methodically, professional, but her hands shake slightly. Not from cold, from something else. These women wore the uniform of the machine that destroyed her family, her neighbors, her entire world, and she's helping them anyway. The iodine smell mixes with something else now. Lavender, Ruth's soap. Such a strange detail to notice, but Ingrid notices everything. How Ruth's hands have old scars. How her eyes never quite meet theirs. How she speaks to them like humans even though she has every reason not to. The medic, Ruth says while examining Greta's frost-bitten fingers, is outside, crying. She says it matter-of-factly, like she's reporting the weather, but the words land like bombs. The American medic is crying? Why? Ruth continues working, checking fingers, toes, ears, all the places frostbite hides. She's thorough but fast, efficient but gentle. Everything the Wehrmacht Medical Corps never was. She tells them something that changes everything. The medic outside is crying. The medic sits on an ammunition crate outside, head in hands, shoulders shaking, 19 years old and sobbing in the Belgian snow because he thinks he just traumatized 47 women. Ruth explains while bandaging frostbite. His sister is 17, same age as your youngest here. He thought, when he saw you like that, he thought he'd become the monster propaganda warned you about. Weint für uns, der Feind weint für uns. He cries for us, the enemy cries for us. The youngest POW, Liesel, just turned 17 last week, can't comprehend it. Americans don't cry. Americans bomb cities. Americans shoot Wehrmacht soldiers. Americans don't sit in snow crying because they accidentally frightened German women. But Private Timothy Morrison from Ames, Iowa, is doing exactly that. Ruth keeps talking, explains how the boy enlisted at 17, lied about his age, wanted to be a doctor after the war, joined medical corps to help people, not hurt them, has written his sister every week for 18 months, carries her picture in his helmet. The wind rattles the windows. You can hear him outside. Muffled sobs mixing with wind. He's speaking English, but one word repeats. Sounds like, sorry, over and over. Sorry, sorry, sorry. The sergeant tried to talk to him, told him it wasn't his fault, translation error, misunderstanding. But the boy won't stop crying, can't stop. Because for 30 seconds, he thought he'd become everything his sister feared would happen to her if the Germans won. Youngest German female POW 17, oldest 41, average age 23, and right now, all of them are listening to their enemy cry for them. Ruth finishes with the last frostbite check, packs her supplies, then says something that nobody expects. One of you should go talk to him. Silence. He needs to know you're okay, that he didn't, that you understand it was a mistake. More silence. Who talks to the enemy? Who comforts the man holding the rifle? Who bridges this impossible gap? Ingrid looks at the sergeant's coat still wrapped around Greta, thinks about the measuring tape, the careful distances, the rules followed even when nobody was watching. These Americans are strange. They measure walls while women strip. They cry when they cause accidental harm. They send Jewish nurses to tend Wehrmacht auxiliaries. The wind picks up. The crying continues. One woman does something that nobody could have predicted. Ingrid unwraps her scarf. Wool, gray, the last thing her mother gave her before evacuation. She walks to the door, opens it, steps into the Belgian night where the enemy sits crying on an ammunition crate. He looks up, face red, eyes swollen, sees her coming and scrambles backward, almost falls off the crate, holds his hands up like she's the one with the weapon. He extends the scarf. For 10 seconds, neither moves. An American medic and a German auxiliary, enemy and enemy, standing in -12 degrees while snow falls between them. She pushes the scarf forward. He stares at it like it might explode. In diesem Moment waren wir keine Feinde mehr. In that moment, we weren't enemies anymore. He takes it, slowly, like he's defusing a bomb. His fingers are shaking from cold or emotion, impossible to tell. She nods, turns, walks back, doesn't run, doesn't hurry, just walks through the snow like she's done this 1,000 times. Behind her, silence. Inside, 46 women watch through frosted windows. Nobody speaks. Ruth stands with her medical kit, mouth slightly open. The sergeant holds his clipboard like he's forgotten what it's for. This moment gets documented in 3 separate POW diaries. January 18, 1945, 9:47 p.m., Belgian POW Camp 4B. A German woman gives an American soldier her scarf because he cried for accidentally frightening her. The boot prints in the snow tell the story. Hers going out, hers coming back, his staying exactly where they were. He didn't move, didn't follow, didn't speak, just sat there holding gray wool like it was made of gold. Later, much later, Ruth will tell them what he said when he finally came inside. 3 words. I don't understand. But understanding isn't always necessary. Sometimes a gesture is enough. Sometimes gray wool across enemy lines says more than any translation could. The barracks door closes. Ingrid's hands are blue from cold. Someone wraps a blanket around her. Someone else makes space by the stove. The women don't talk about what just happened. Not yet. It's too strange, too impossible. Outside, Private Morrison wraps the scarf around his neck, stands, walks to the medical supply depot. He has frostbite inspections to complete. A job to do. But something has shifted, something fundamental. 40 years later, that medic would return something unexpected. Cincinnati, Ohio, September 15, 1985. Ingrid's doorbell rings at exactly 2:47 p.m. She's 63 now, gray hair, grandchildren, a life rebuilt from rubble. When she opens the door, there's an elderly man holding a worn gray scarf. My name is Dr. Timothy Morrison. You gave me this 40 years ago. I've flown 4,000 miles to return it. He's 59, successful pediatrician, 3 daughters, and for 40 years, he's carried a German woman's scarf through medical school, residency, marriage, births, deaths, and 10,000 ordinary days. Dieser Schal hat mir gezeigt, dass Menschlichkeit den Krieg überleben kann. This scarf showed me humanity can survive war. He speaks German now, learned it in the 50s. Not for business, not for travel, but to understand what those 47 women felt that night, to understand what his 19-year-old self couldn't comprehend. The scarf is worn thin, carefully mended in 3 places, washed so many times the gray has faded to silver. But it's the same scarf, the one that crossed enemy lines in Belgian snow, the one that said, "You're human," when humanity seemed impossible. 287 days. That's how long he carried it through the rest of the war. Through Belgium, into Germany, past Bergen-Belsen, through streets where Germans spat at Americans, through villages where children threw stones. He wore their enemy's scarf and remembered that moment when understanding transcended language. Coffee brews in Ingrid's kitchen. The September sun slants through windows. They sit at a table that didn't exist in 1945, in a country that was enemy then, sharing coffee that tastes nothing like war. He tells her about his sister, still alive, teacher now. Never knew about the scarf or the night her brother cried in Belgian snow. He tells her about his daughters. One is 17, same age as Liesel was. The parallel isn't lost on either of them. She tells him about that night, how they thought they'd be violated, how the mistranslation nearly broke them, how his tears broke something else, the propaganda that said Americans were monsters. They decide something together. Neither keeps the scarf alone. They'll share it. 6 months in Cincinnati, 6 months in Munich, where she lives now. A gray wool bridge across an ocean, across decades, across everything that tried to make them enemies. The scarf travels between them until he dies in 2003. She keeps it after that, frames it. Under the glass, a simple note. Proof that humanity survives.